What's up guys, Noor here and welcome to Book of Showtime Sub-Chapter 4. As always, be sure to like and share this video with your friends, and if you have a topic you'd like for me to cover for Book of Showtime, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below, or anywhere you can reach me on social media or at the Book of Showtime Discord. In Chapter 16, we talked about 7 games that needed a remaster. F.E.A.R was originally in Outbreak's place, but because I never played it, I didn't feel like I can talk about it as strongly as I could the other games on the list. F.E.A.R is available on PC, but not exactly as polished as you would expect because this was pre-2013 where PC ports were trash. It's available on PlayStation through the PlayStation Premium service, which I really hate that a lot of games that I would play are locked behind that service because I'd outright buy them if I could. The aforementioned F.E.A.R, Alone in the Dark, Brink, which is a hidden gem, I don't care, Dark Sector, Darkstalkers Resurrection, the Infamous games, and a few Resident Evils to boot. There's a lot that this service offers, but unlike Game Pass, you can't buy them. These are games where I can honestly, if I wanted to, sit and beat them within the month, and that service is about $20. If PlayStation sold these individually at prices between $10 and $20, they'd make way more of me than $20. F.E.A.R is also backwards compatible on Xbox, but only if you had the disc, which broke my heart. When they announced the final wave of backwards compatibility games, I was like, yes, I really want to play F.E.A.R, it's here, and oh, you need the disc. You know, we were on the verge of greatness, we were this close. As much as I want to play F.E.A.R, I'm not about to drop $50 on a used copy. So in Sub-Chapter 3, I mentioned games that I thought were downgrades, and I had Resident Evils on there. My friend Amy had this to say: I'd really love to hear your further thoughts on Resident Evil downgrades because it's really interesting how much it totally changed and also stayed exactly the same. The reason I said that Resident Evil 4, 5, or 6 are downgrades aren't because they are lesser games, but because the scope of what makes a Resident Evil game was essentially forgotten in favor of more action and linearity. Resident Evil was always a very contained game where you're set in like one general environment, typically trapped, and you got to navigate enemies and environments as you find a way to escape. Resident Evil 3 didn't stick to this as much because of the way you navigate Raccoon City, but it still felt very contained with a lot of backtracking involved. Resident Evil 4 doesn't have much of that. You see it a little bit in the village and the castle, but once you get to a certain point, it's a straight shot to the end. Resident Evil 5 has no backtracking whatsoever and very few puzzles too. Older Resident Evil games were heavy on puzzles and sometimes having to scout around and find missing pieces to those puzzles. Puzzles they did have, they weren't really hard at all and were more to showcase the co-op aspects of the game. But people really don't understand about what made Resident Evil a horror game. It wasn't the scares, it never really was, it was the tension. I've said this many times, the most important element in anything horror related is its tension. And that's what Resident Evil was honestly great at creating. The fixed camera angles, limited saves and inventory, the lack of HUD. There isn't really too much tension in the later Resident Evil games because a lot more, I guess, quality of life and casual friendly mechanics. While creepy settings and jump scares are important to horror games, the most important thing is making it feel like no matter where or who you are, you're fighting an uphill battle no matter what comes your way. So the legendary Weaver asks this: what will be the outcome of the US dollar being worthless for citizens? Thoughts on electric currency? For the record, I don't mind talking politics or anything regarded as such. I'm pretty neutral when it comes to these things, but I am going to be very careful about what I choose and say, and most questions like these will be relegated to sub-chapters until I feel a lot more comfortable talking about it, especially when, let's get the channel a little bit more established first. That being said, I really don't feel like physical currency will ever go out of circulation. It will always have some utility to it. Cash free is becoming a lot more standard, especially since the pandemic, but a lot of places and businesses still don't take cards. They don't. Some local businesses near me, I live in the Bronx for reference, like barbershops or shoe repair stores, they only accept cash, and up until recently I still needed cash to use the laundry machines downstairs in my building. The icy ladies, the patalito men, the ice cream truck, these all need cash, and sometimes cash is quicker. Selling candy on the train ain't taking Apple Pay, and what if I want to tip the ox, swooping up my chopped cheese and curly fries? So I'm not going to PayPal or Venmo him, I'm just going to grab some loose singles out of my pocket and put it in his jar. On the other hand, electric currency is more safe to manage because I don't think anybody's going to walk up to you with a gun and say, hey, PayPal me 40 bucks right now. But I say safe with an asterisk because what if, like, a solar flare hits or something crazy like that, then nobody has anything. But no, in all seriousness, hacking or rigged machines and card readers, it does create a bit of dormant stress. Like, I always check the ATM I use at stores, and I never keep NFC active on my phone. But then again, touch pay can be quicker in some scenarios. You don't got to worry about losing change or bills. And when you have a business, you don't have to worry about moving your money with Brinks trucks or anything like that. It's all digital, it just goes right to the bank. I'm not too sold on the idea of major places being cash only because what about the kids? Like, what if my nephew went on a school trip to see the Mets at Citi Field, which the way the Mets have been playing, that might be child endangerment. I'm not going to give him my bank card to use out there. No way. Now at Citi Field, you can flip cash into a card to use at the park, but some of those cards probably have some weird stipulations or fees. It's just a little lame to think about. All in all, I don't think paper cash is going anywhere, and while the amount of businesses that accept cash are fleeting, I still think hard currency will always have a place in our country. One last thing before I go, I was going to do a top 7 video on series that need to come back. This list included the SUBplements, Dead to Rights, Rumble Roses, Medal of Honor, Rainbow Six Vegas, Over the Top sports games, and Power Stone, and also by proxy every other 4-player 3D brawler. I did the script, I recorded the VO, but I really just didn't feel this chapter. I really didn't. I didn't feel I made enough good arguments, and the last entries were essentially asking for genres to come back. But that's also a good question. Where have the games like Power Stone, Clash of Ninja, Def Jam, and Urban Reign gone? Why have they disappeared? I played a lot of these games with my friends over the last few years through Parsec, and they're extremely fun. It's really just been Gang Beasts in the last few years, right? It just makes no sense to me. As for the over-the-top sports games, that was kind of a cheat spot since you can just apply that to any game, be it NFL Streets, NBA Jam, the bigs, you name it. It's probably been gone for a long time, and like I said, this was pretty much asking for a genre to come back as opposed to a series, but I really couldn't pick one. If you absolutely wanted me to, I would say NBA Jam, which on Fire Edition just had its server shut down, and that was heartbreaking. So for the people who have watched me stream, if you remember Antique, you know, that saga, you know, that can't happen anymore. But my friends grew up on the other games I mentioned above and then some. It's upsetting because this was a genre that even if you didn't play sports games, you probably still play them because they were fun. Unless you're my friend Amy and you just suck and get bounced, so they weren't fun. Amy, I still want those till the first to 5, so I know you're watching. Now, in recent years, we've had over-the-top sports games, but usually they're not licensed. This is the big deal here. They're not licensed games. They're just generic games like Mutant Football League or Super Mega Baseball. Solid games. But I don't want to play as generic outfield number 13. I want to hit bombs to the scoreboard as my beloved Metropolitans. Brian, if you're watching this, brother, imagine the Bigs 3 and breaking that big scoreboard in City Field in half as Pete Alonso. Also, Brian, we kind of miss you. I say kind of because we still hate you. I don't want to play as Skeletons and Aliens in Mutant Football League. I want to ball hawk as Sauce Gardner and be set on fire as I gritty into the end zone. How cool would that be? Interesting enough, though, there was this game, Ultimate Rivals The Rink, and it was a hockey game with stars from all sports, but for some reason it was only on Apple Arcade. But then the newer version came along into beta called Ultimate Rivals The Court, which I played. It was pretty fun, pretty solid. It was a basketball version. 3v3, some of the biggest stars in all sports. It was cool. For a while now, it's really just been MIA on like the news front for that game. So I decided to email the company what was up, and here's what happened. I said, hello, my name is Noor, and a couple of years ago I played Ultimate Rivals The Court and thought it was great, but I haven't seen any news on the game and I wanted to know what's the word on development. I run a small, minuscule YouTube channel called Book of Showtime, and I wouldn't mind doing a review of the game or covering it in other ways, but just knowing what was going on would be great. In response, Jack Darrimple, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, sir, had this to say. Hey, thanks for reaching out. We will have some news soon. Working hard and will be rebranding as Infinite Victory. Keep your eyes out for it, and thanks for being a fan. Best, Jack. Well, thank you very much, Jack. I really appreciate the transparency and the response, but I have to point out that he left his phone number in the email, and I don't know if this is his personal number or his office number. Either way, it's just kind of funny to me. What if he just actually left his phone number there just so I can call him up one day, like, hey, what's going on with Ultimate, or excuse me, with Infinite Victory? You know, you want to hang out? You want to go go out to dinner sometime, Jack? Well, either way, I'm hoping that Ultimate Rivals, Infinite Victory is a smash hit, and that it starts a bit of a licensed over-the-top sports games renaissance. I thank you guys so much for watching this chapter. This is actually really fun to do. Inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.